two brothers travel to their grandparents, whom they have never seen before. In the beginning, everything is quiet, but as the days go by, they experience more and more strange things. What happens at 10:30 p.m., and why can't they go down to the basement? In this video, we will summarize the horror thriller story called The Visit. So let's get started. Loretta tells her daughter that she fell in love with her library teacher as a high school student. They were together for 10 years, they had 2 children, including her, then her husband left her for another woman. Loretta's parents never liked the guy, so he came home and hasn't talked to them since. But not long ago, they found out on the internet that they would like to meet their grandchildren and spend a week with them. They are not so happy, but the children definitely want to go. Her daughter, Becca, is also shooting a documentary about the visit. At the station, Tyler tells her that he is having an affair with 2 girls, but the grandparents will not be able to afford what he will put into his love life. When they are alone, Becca tells her that her mother is dating a rich guy, who takes her on a Caribbean cruise while they are with the grandparents. The children soon arrive at the grandparents, who are waiting for them at the station. They introduce themselves, then say that the mother is a very good cook, and the father is a farmer. When they get to the house, the children also tell them about it. It turns out that the guy raps, his favorite is freestyle, and he is able to improvise a few stanzas about anything. Since the woman is in love with the art of cooking, she gives him a pineapple cake. The grandparents really like Tyler's immediate performance. The children get into their mother's room. They decide with rock, paper, scissors to get out of the bed, then the grandfather tells them to look in front of them, but get out of the cellar, because it's dirty. Becca brought another camera with her, so her brother can also join the shooting as a co-operator. He also goes out to the yard to have fun, where he sees his grandfather having fun at the fence. In the evening, the grandfather tells him that since they are old, it is 10:30. The grandfather is in the yard, which is early for the children. Becca can't sleep, and even though her grandfather is in a hurry, she leaves the room well advised after the time. But her mother comes to meet her, who gets back in the dark and comforts her. So she rather rushes back to their room. The next morning, Tyler explains to her grandmother about his webcam and video career. To her great-grandmother. Becca goes out to find her father, who tells her that she has no problem, she just had a little depression. Tyler comes out of the house, where his mother is playing a lot. When they start to play, Grandma comes out, who kicks them if they try to catch them. After they escape from the house, Grandma seems to be normal again, then he turns his back on his grandchildren. Later, Dr. Sam comes for a visit, who does not understand why the grandparents did not come to the hospital to visit them on their own. The girl reassures them that they are fine, but they are not at home now. Tyler takes the medicine to his eye. He sees that his grandfather's bag goes into his hand in the building, then he leaves soon. Then the boy gets sick, and he finds a used diaper. From the discovery, the result of the bacterial phobia boy's escape then falls into the mother. The woman explains that her father has an incontinence, and he is very ashamed of diapers, so he hides them in the closet. Later, the children go into the city with their grandfather and visit their mother's old school. Before they go in, the big brother attacks a suspicious passerby, who allegedly vomited. Fortunately, he quickly notices and they move on. In the evening, Becca hears strange sounds, to which Tyler also wakes up. When they open the door, the old woman is seen banging on the wall in the middle of nowhere. The boy says that the sight is deeply ingrained in his retina. The next morning, the grandfather says that the old woman suffers from daydream syndrome, so she behaves strangely. Meanwhile, the father has only pinched himself, so the woman asks where he is going. He answers that he is going to the pharmacy, but Becca explains that he is upset again. Then the grandmother knocks on the window, who made a little fried egg. Meanwhile, he puts the dough on the woman's laptop, and he didn't even bring down the oven cleaner. Later, Becca reads about daydream syndrome, which serves as a convincing explanation for the oddities. Tyler, however, is suspicious that the laptop's camera just went out of order. Then they talk to their mother, who feels great on a boat trip. Tyler says that the grandparents behave strangely, but the woman also thinks it's just because they're old. Becca asks her mother about the grandfather, who apparently doesn't want to talk about it. Then he asks the girl to hide in the oven and clean it up. In order to reach the back wall, she has to hide completely. After cleaning up, the girl would make an interview with the grandparents. But when she asks about her mother's departure, the grandmother runs out and cuts the recording in half. Strange noises are heard again in the evening, so the children open the door. The older one runs up in a crazy way. Tyler thinks this is not normal, and he's also suspicious that they can't go to the basement. Then a woman puts Stacy in a room with Sooty, who came from the Mepicity Institute, where they treat mentally ill people. She tells him that the grandparents go there every Saturday on their own, but most recently they didn't come. But now they're not at home, so he can't talk to them. Later, Becca takes up the clips and hears that the older one is having a lot of fun. It turns out, however, that an empty wall is full of bats. Then he says that my clothes are close, and he starts to continue with his, but when he notices Becca, he says that he only cleaned the gun. Now, according to Becca, the grandparents are suspicious, so they put out a camera in the evening, which records the old woman's running. Not long after, he finds the camera, then picks up a knife and goes to his grandchildren's room. He tries to get in, but the door is locked. The next day, the children watch the recording again, which they find surprisingly scary. They talk that their mother is coming home today, so they won't be able to leave this madhouse for long. But the girl still wants to finish the documentary, which she is making to help her mother restore her relationship with her parents. So she calls her grandfather for an interview, who tells her that he was a factory worker. In the evening, he sees a ghost with yellow eyes, which they kicked out. Becca is surprised that she hasn't heard about it yet, but her father says that Loretta didn't know about it, because they didn't talk to each other then. After the interview, Tyler is surprised that even his grandfather, his mother, and every night, turns into Michael Myers. At this point, they become cautious. Stacy comes back and wants the elderly to go straight to the institute. But they rather call into the house to talk about it there. After this, Becca is interviewing the elderly again. The woman is telling a story about a lake, in which there are mermaids from another planet, who are floating in the water all day long. She falls asleep from the waves, but doesn't die. Many people have gathered for the lake's rescue, who will be brought back to their planet one day. Then she adds that this is just a made-up story. After this, the girl is talking to her mother, but the elderly says that she never wants to see her again, and starts to think. Becca calms her down, and tells her mother's story as if it wasn't real, but also just a made-up story. This way, her mother understands the girl's point of view, and forgives her. After the interview, the grandparents go to the zoo, and the grandchildren use the time to call their mother. Becca picks up the dried dough from the camera, so they can chat again. The woman is still talking about the trip, but the children quickly run away, waiting for their mother to come back, because the grandparents have gone mad. They also show them to the camera, while their mother humbly tells them that they are not their grandparents. Loretta is completely shocked that her children have spent the week with two strangers. She calls the police, but it doesn't work, so they leave. At this point, the medicine runs out for the elderly. The father wants to join in, and the mother calls Becca when the woman is completely covered. She closes the door, but luckily, the lighter doesn't work. Then they start to socialize, but the children want to get out of the house, so they say that they are doing another interview in the yard. When they are about to leave, the stuck-up Stacy sees them, so the father cuts the door open. They play a game called Dice, from which the old man is completely upset. Becca saves herself by running away from the camera, and has to fill it up. It turns out that the father spills it, and the mother eats the cake in a crazy way. When they are about to leave, the stuck-up Stacy sees them, so the father cuts the door open. They play a game called Dice, from which the old man is completely upset. Becca saves herself by running away from the camera, and has to fill it up. It turns out that the father spills it, and the mother eats the cake in a crazy way. When the old man comes back, he thinks it's 10:30, so he takes the old woman. The girl goes to the basement, where she finds photos of her real grandparents, and a pair of hospital clothes from a psychiatric hospital, and a bloody hat are also found. And the great-grandparents' rags. Then the father wakes up and says that they covered the real great-grandparents because they were constantly talking about them. This wasn't nice to them, because they knew that his wife, that is, Claire, continued her children. Then he lifts Becca to the floor, where Tyler lies on the floor. He locks the girl in a high-rise room with the text that they will all die today. It turns out that the old woman is also here, who behaves like a demon. He hits Becca's head in the mirror, and then plays a drama. The girl gets up and puts down her attacker. Meanwhile, the uncle gets ready for the game again, but finds out that he has more important things to do. For example, he pushes the pillow. Becca breaks out of the room and attacks him, from which Tyler also gets up bravely. He takes the old man's American football knowledge and smashes him with the fridge door. Finally, of course, their mother and the police also run in. After the traumatic events, Loretta honestly interviews her daughter, in which she tells about her parents. She says that when she left them there, they fought with each other and even slapped each other a few times. They looked for them later, but she didn't call them back. Now, however, they can never get out of it. Becca's documentary film ends with Tyler's flight, in which she talks of her great-grandparents. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.